Sorry, buddy.
Seeing this scene, the smile instantly vanished from the man's face. Yet, who could have guessed that the very next day he would encounter that flight attendant again? The man hurried forward to hand her the broken heel and thoughtfully helped her to a nearby chair. Looking at the damaged high heel in her hand, Amelia made a bold decision. She smashed the other one too, then stumbled off barefoot. Viktor seized the moment and handed her a discount coupon for insoles. Amelia smiled in return, and that smile made Viktor's heart flutter. However, in the very next moment, Amelia threw herself into that man's arms, causing Viktor's heart to instantly sink. Just when it seemed they would have no further chance to meet, the finger of fate plucked the strings of destiny. Not long after, Viktor encountered Amelia, freshly heartbroken and on the phone. It was clear she was devastated, and Viktor, as always, silently handed her a tissue.
Listening to other people's conversations.
Then, try to call home.
You know why men are such assholes?
No.
Because they're all liars.
Viktor immediately followed after her, and Amelia, seeming to find someone to confide in, couldn't hold back from sharing her past with him. She was already 39 years old, yet still unmarried. She had spent most of her life earnestly pursuing love, but every time things went against her wishes, and over the long wait, she had lost everything. Viktor patiently listened to Amelia's complaints, offering her the warmest and most sincere comfort. To express her gratitude towards Viktor, Amelia warmly invited him to join her for dinner, enthusiastically mentioning a particular Italian restaurant in New York that was supposedly wonderful. But Amelia had no idea that Viktor was currently not only penniless, but also completely unable to step foot outside the airport. The man's name was Viktor, the unluckiest person in the world. Simply because he fell asleep on the plane, he was taken to an office by security upon landing, where his visa and passport were confiscated. Before being brought to Frank, the acting field commissioner for the airport, Viktor looked utterly bewildered, thinking merely falling asleep shouldn't warrant such inexplicable treatment. Frank then informed Viktor that Viktor's country had experienced political unrest overnight, dissolving completely, so Viktor was now stateless, belonging to no country until receiving international recognition. But Viktor, coming from a small country, didn't understand English, leaving him clueless about what Frank was saying. Helpless, Frank resorted to gestures and objects to convey the information.
The potato chips are Krakosia, represents the Liberty Rebels. No more Krakosia.
After this whole performance, it was unclear if Viktor understood, but he kept saying, "Good." Seeing this, Frank didn't explain further and had Officer Thurman escort him to the main terminal lounge to rest. So although Viktor was now in New York's JFK airport, he couldn't enter the United States proper. The airport terminal became his temporary haven. Thurman was somewhat considerate, handing him some meal vouchers and a phone card. After a lot of guessing and gesturing, Viktor finally grasped that he could not leave this place. Then, with an inadvertent glance back, Viktor saw a heartbreaking scene. The TV was broadcasting news of the conflict in his country, and Viktor recognized it as his homeland. Only at this moment did he understand what Frank had been trying to say. Stranded without a common language or usable money, Viktor's existence felt like falling into an icy abyss. Fortunately, he had the meal vouchers Thurman gave him. Just as he was about to get some food, he spotted a girl in trouble, and Viktor immediately set down his vouchers to help without hesitation. However, the meal vouchers were accidentally swept away by the wind, leaving Viktor with absolutely nothing. That night, he went to an abandoned boarding area and pushed 2 rows of chairs together to make a simple bed. Then he carefully pulled out a peanut can. This container held not life-saving food, but the promise he was carrying on this trip. Clutching this promise, Viktor endured that long first night. The next day, Frank, watching via surveillance cameras, saw Viktor wandering in pajamas and couldn't fathom what he was doing. It turned out Viktor had just taken a shower in the restroom. Undeterred after washing, Viktor went to the administrative office to apply for a visa. The result was predictable. Without a passport as his entry ticket, getting a visa was impossible. Frank was also puzzled, wondering why Viktor still hadn't left. He had placed Viktor in the lounge, hoping Viktor would find a way to leave on his own, never expecting Viktor to be so hard-headed. And from this moment on, the cat-and-mouse game between Frank and Viktor officially began. Lunchtime arrived, and staring at the dazzling array of delicacies in the restaurant, Viktor could only pull out his last reserve rations to make a sandwich cookie. Suddenly Frank appeared, whispering a secret to Viktor. During the lunchtime guard shift change, there was a 5-minute gap, his only chance. The implication was clear. Viktor should make a run for it, but Frank wasn't being kind. He just wanted an excuse to catch Viktor in the act. At noon, the guards stepped away as instructed, and Viktor approached the glass doors. Seeing New York City just one step away, his heart filled with anticipation. As he prepared to push open the doors, a flight attendant suddenly rushed past him, inadvertently revealing a mobile surveillance camera tracking his every move. Victor cautiously inched forward. After several tense tests, Victor instantly realized he was under watch. Frank quickly swiveled the camera away, and Victor immediately seized the chance to duck into a blind spot. Frank was left puzzled by his behavior, until Victor suddenly stepped back into view and declared loudly that he would keep waiting. Hearing this, Frank sighed in frustration. In 17 years on the job, he'd never encountered anyone so persistent. Soon, however, Victor was confronted by the gnawing problem of hunger. Just as he nearly succumbed to scavenging leftovers, a woman in red abruptly blocked his path. She returned a luggage cart to the machine, instantly receiving a 25-cent refund. Most travelers ignored these small coins, but for Victor, they were a lifeline, enough for a burger and even a small tip. Emboldened by this small success, he began collecting every abandoned cart in the terminal. After an afternoon of relentless effort, Victor had gathered over 50 coins. Overjoyed, he decided to reward himself with a lavish feast, ordering a luxurious meal. Yet as he savored his delicious dinner, news from his homeland flashed across the TV screen. However, Victor remained utterly lost in the English broadcast, as if adrift in a dense fog, completely unable to grasp its meaning. Deeply troubled by the language barrier, Victor visited a bookstore the next day, carefully selecting a bilingual dictionary and embarking on his journey to learn English. Through relentless study, Victor's English vocabulary steadily grew, and he gradually understood most news reports, though pronunciation remained a stubborn challenge. Ever resourceful, Victor devised a solution. He visited Immigration Officer Dolores daily for conversation. Though his visa applications were repeatedly denied, this frequent speaking practice significantly improved his spoken English. Victor's progress certainly didn't escape Frank's notice. Frank was astonished by Victor's rapidly improving English and his ingenious methods of earning money. To undermine Victor, Frank created a new transporter position, effectively cutting off his income stream. Yet luck seemed to favor Victor once more. That day, Enrique, the airport food service truck driver, noticed Victor and generously offered him an exceptionally lavish dinner. In return, Enrique hoped Victor could gather some information about Dolores for him. Tempted by the feast, Victor agreed without hesitation. Lacking experience, however, he went straight to Dolores and asked her directly.
Food? My friend drive the food.
Navorski.
The situation instantly became intensely awkward. Though Victor gathered no useful information on the first day, when reporting back to Enrique, he cleverly hinted at secrets, successfully piquing Enrique's curiosity. From then on, Victor engaged with Dolores more actively and enthusiastically. His dinners, in turn, became increasingly varied and abundant. As days passed, Victor's spoken English grew smoother and more fluent. Enrique's understanding of Dolores deepened as well. Finally, on a special day, Victor posed a heartfelt question to Dolores.
Man with money or man with...
Dolores did not reply immediately. The next day, Victor returned to Dolores, this time carrying an exquisite gift box containing a sparkling ring.
Here, wait for you to answer. That Sbarro.
In the airport cafeteria, Enrique nervously wore his favorite shirt. As usual, Enrique fumbled anxiously, while Dolores simply raised her left hand, revealing her proof of love. They held a simple yet profoundly romantic wedding right there in the airport. Unexpectedly, Victor caught the bridal bouquet tossed by the bride. Legend says the one who catches this bouquet will soon find their own beautiful love story. Yet, just as Victor basked in this joy, Frank suddenly approached him with a seemingly irresistible offer. If Victor applied for political asylum and correctly answered one question, he could leave for New York that very night. Victor felt a flicker of hope, but upon hearing Frank's question, his expression instantly turned serious.
But you only get to go if we can establish a credible fear.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Do you, at this time, have any fear of returning to your own country?
No.
He once again saw through Frank's scheme and firmly refused the offer. Dejected, Victor sat alone by the restaurant entrance. At that moment, a flight attendant suddenly waved and greeted him. Victor glanced around, confirmed she was addressing him, and thought his long-awaited love had finally arrived. Seeing the scene unfold before him, Victor realized he had misunderstood. Not long after, Victor encountered the flight attendant again, heartbroken and on the phone. The flight attendant was clearly immersed in profound sadness. Victor, as thoughtful as ever, silently handed Amelia a tissue. Amelia, seeming to find someone to confide in, couldn't hold back from sharing her past with him. Victor patiently listened to Amelia's complaints, offering her the warmest, most sincere comfort. To express her gratitude towards Victor, Amelia warmly invited him to join her for dinner, enthusiastically saying there was an especially wonderful Italian restaurant in New York. But Viktor, currently penniless and trapped in the airport unable to leave, had to painfully decline Amelia's invitation. This move, however, sparked a misunderstanding in Amelia. Watching Amelia's figure gradually fade into the distance, Viktor silently resolved to make up for this missed date when she returned next time. But before that, he had to find a way to earn money. So Viktor began searching for job opportunities in various airport shops, yet mostly he encountered cold stares and heartless laughter. After all, he had no legal status. Finally finding a shop willing to tell him to wait for notification, they required a phone number. Viktor had no choice but to give them the number of a nearby public phone. Afterwards, terrified of missing the call, he dared not leave easily, even when his bladder was bursting, and so Viktor waited anxiously in torment until evening. Finally, the phone rang, as hoped.
Well, unfortunately, I gotta tell you that the position's been filled.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
so could you please go sit someplace else?
Clearly, Viktor was being toyed with. The shop owner had watched Viktor make a fool of himself all day, seemingly enjoying an absurd puppet show. Heavy-hearted, Viktor stumbled towards a concrete wall. The wall's shoddy quality was astonishing. Just a light touch, and the plaster flaked off like dry leaves. As an architect, Viktor simply couldn't tolerate this. Having nothing else to do anyway, he set about repairing it to pass the unbearable boredom. After a whole night of diligent effort, the once dilapidated wall looked brand new. At dawn, the construction crew arrived just in time to witness this astonishing transformation. The foreman praised Viktor's craftsmanship profusely and decided on the spot to invite him to join the team. And so, through a series of coincidences, Viktor unexpectedly got a job, with quite a handsome wage of $19 per hour. As time passed, Viktor also made a group of like-minded friends. One day, not long after, he unexpectedly met Amelia in a bookstore, and they launched into a deep conversation about Napoleon. From Napoleon's military brilliance to his legendary life, they chatted animatedly. After the conversation ended, Amelia warmly invited Viktor to lunch, and this time, Viktor gladly accepted. Yet fate always seems to enjoy playing tricks. At that very moment, their pagers beeped almost simultaneously. Amelia had to rush off to meet the person she admired, while Viktor had to stay behind to face Frank's interrogation. It turned out Frank had been notified that leadership would personally inspect operations in 3 days. To prevent Viktor from causing further trouble, Frank made up an excuse to confine him. Frank then urgently gathered all security personnel to fully prepare for and cooperate with the upcoming leadership inspection. However, accidents always happen when least expected. An Eastern European passenger tried to sneak medicine through but was caught red-handed by customs officers. Faced with the confiscation of his medicine, the man lost control, his anger surging like a tidal wave. A language barrier existed, and communication between the customs officers and the man reached a deadlock. At this critical moment, Viktor came to Frank's mind. Since Viktor was also Eastern European, they might communicate normally. So Frank hurriedly called for Viktor to translate, promising him smooth entry into New York if he could resolve this crisis. Hearing this, Viktor rushed to the scene. Using excellent communication skills and endless patience, he gradually calmed the man's agitated emotions. After understanding the situation, Viktor explained to Frank that the medicine was purchased by the man to save his father. But despite this, Frank still adhered to principle. If he wanted to take the medicine, he must provide proof of purchase and a doctor's prescription. The man knew nothing about this, and naturally couldn't provide the documents. Then the man knelt on the ground in despair, begging them desperately to make an exception. However, the regulations were ironclad. Frank was powerless to help. Ultimately, the man, sobbing loudly, was led away ruthlessly by security. Viktor stared at the medicine, and suddenly a brilliant idea flashed in his mind.
Medicine is for God. Yeah, God.
If it was human medicine, cumbersome procedures were needed. But if it was veterinary medicine, no purchase permit was required. It turned out that, while searching for a way to leave the airport, Viktor had already become thoroughly familiar with these regulations. However, Frank wasn't ready to give up. He insisted the passenger confirm it personally. Although Viktor signaled to the man consistently failed to grasp the meaning.
Okay, the pills stay, he goes.
Goat. Medicine for goat.
Give him the pills.
The man thanked Viktor excitedly. Seeing this, Frank was furious. He shoved Viktor hard against a printer, angrily accusing him of ruining everything and severely trampling his authority. Supervisor Salchak watched Frank's loss of composure silently, then turned and walked away, without a word. When Viktor returned to the terminal, the cleaner Gupta had already spread word of the incident far and wide. Seeing some skepticism, Gupta even produced related evidence. After this event, the shop staff shed their former prejudices, casting admiring glances at Viktor as if seeing the shadow of a hero upon him. On the walls of various airport restaurants, handprints from when Frank shoved Viktor were posted as a tribute. Meanwhile, Salchak also offered Frank some advice. Rules are rigid, but people are flexible. We need to learn adaptability when handling matters, and you really should learn from the kind Viktor. However, these words only fueled Frank's anger further. He simply couldn't accept them, summoning Viktor to harshly declare,
In New York City, not a single toe in the United States of America.
Facing Frank's threats, Viktor felt no fear. He had long grown accustomed to such harassment and obstruction. Every challenge only made him stronger, like children leaving a safe harbor who grow amidst life's storms, learning to find their direction amidst confusion and helplessness. Viktor's heart also grew increasingly resolute and courageous through each compromise. To help Viktor orchestrate a romantic encounter with Amelia, his friend sneaked into the records room at night to find her flight schedule. Learning she would arrive at the airport in 3 weeks, they began meticulously planning this date. Viktor specifically went to an airport clothing store and picked out a dashing suit. He stood before the mirror rehearsing his pickup lines repeatedly. The moment Amelia stepped off the plane, his friends sprang into action. Enrique blocked her path with a meal cart. Gupta declared the floor wet and prohibited passage. Mulroy cornered her, and finally, Amelia quite accidentally ended up sitting on Viktor's lap. Both hearts overflowed with boundless joy at this long-awaited reunion. Seeing Viktor impeccably dressed in a suit for the first time, Amelia offered generous praise without hesitation. That night, Amelia wore an elegant black dress, and the two met on the airport's rooftop terrace. It must be said Viktor's friends were incredibly professional. They arranged everything meticulously, handling every detail perfectly to create a warm and romantic atmosphere. Even Gupta, who usually worked silently, now offered a breathtaking talent performance. In this dreamlike ambiance, Amelia deeply felt the thoughtfulness and affection Viktor had hidden in these subtle gestures. She then revealed it seemed her whole life had been spent waiting. She had been in this line of work for 20 years. At 39, she'd seen too many men, but most were just fleeting accidents. Whenever a man showed her the slightest kindness, she would throw herself in wholeheartedly, yet the results always left her bruised. Even now, she still hadn't figured out what she truly wanted. Just then, her pager suddenly went off.
Off, pager.
I wish I could. I've been waiting for a phone call for 7 years. I know it's coming, Viktor. That's why I can't break it off.
On life's long journey, everyone seems to be waiting for something, perhaps a special moment, or perhaps a particular person. Yet ultimately, we all seek to find that one who can decipher the code of our soul. Viktor now gazed at Amelia with deep tenderness in his eyes, but before he could voice the words in his heart, Amelia's pager rang again, utterly ill-timed. This time, Amelia made a bold decision with unwavering determination in her eyes. This long-awaited date, thanks to everyone's efforts, was virtually flawless. But time always passes swiftly. Pressed by Amelia's tight schedule, she had to embark on her journey again, saying she wouldn't return for 13 days. At parting, Viktor asked Amelia a question about Napoleon. As Viktor extended his hand for a farewell handshake, Amelia unexpectedly planted a sweet kiss instead. In that instant, Viktor's heart filled with joy, as if the whole world had become infinitely beautiful. Yet, blissfully unaware in his happiness, he completely missed the surveillance camera overhead. Back in the terminal, a novel and romantic idea suddenly popped into Viktor's mind. He decided to transform the wall by the sinks into a unique gift, a surprise crafted solely for Amelia. Drawing on his masterful skills, Viktor poured his heart into the project, meticulously refining every detail. He carefully selected materials, thoughtfully designed the pattern, every cut and stroke infused with his deep love for Amelia. Time flew. 13 days passed in the blink of an eye, and Amelia returned punctually, as promised. But as soon as she stepped into security, she was stopped by staff and led to Frank's office. Meanwhile, Viktor waited joyfully for Amelia's return, only to be met with disappointment. Frank revealed to Amelia that Viktor harbored many secrets unknown to her. He had been living in the airport for 9 months, and he always carried a mysterious peanut can. Hearing this, Amelia felt confusion wash over her. Frank then pleaded for Amelia's help, hoping she could discover Viktor's purpose for coming to New York. He desperately wanted to know what that peanut can contained. As dusk settled, Amelia found Viktor looking dejected.
I broke up with him. I was coming here to tell you that he's out of my life. I'm free. I got tired of waiting.
Her voice thick with disappointment, she spoke a few brief words before decisively turning to leave. Seeing this, Viktor quickly pursued her to stop her. He led Amelia to a very secluded spot. As the stage curtain slowly drew back, 1,000 fountains came into Amelia's view. This was precisely the romantic gift Napoleon had once given his wife. Amelia was stunned, but the more impressed she felt, the more painful it became, for she didn't know who Viktor truly was, why he had come to New York, or why he had lived at the gate for 9 months. Viktor then silently pulled out the peanut can from his luggage, carefully extracting a treasured group photo of a jazz band inside. This was actually his father's keepsake, embodying his father's life's work and dream. His father had spent a full 40 years collecting the signatures of all 57 musicians in that photo. But fate played a cruel trick. Just as his father was about to get the final signature, he passed away forever. Now that last musician was in New York, and Viktor had promised his father he would fulfill this wish. Amelia was profoundly moved by Viktor's sincerity and perseverance. In that very instant, their two hearts also merged completely, as if everything else in the world faded away and disappeared. Early the next morning, Viktor slowly awoke from a sweet sleep, only to discover Amelia was already gone. His friends, however, brought thrilling news. The conflict his homeland had endured was finally declared over. They quickly gathered around Viktor to celebrate this hard-won moment of peace. Just as everyone basked in the celebratory mood, Amelia suddenly appeared among them. They were all overjoyed, and then Amelia handed him a letter.
You know my friend?
Yes.
He works in Washington.
Yes.
He has a lot of connections.
Oh.
Here. It's a pass, Viktor.
Viktor knew in his heart that he was finally free again, free to go to the long-yearned-for New York City. Yet, freedom often comes with a tinge of helplessness. It turned out the friend Amelia mentioned was her ex-boyfriend. In the end, she decided to return to her ex-boyfriend's side. You go chase the future that belongs to you, while I must face the fate that belongs to me. A crushing despair like never before spread through Viktor's entire being. But he had to pull himself together now because there was a pressing problem. Since this was only a one-day emergency visa, it required Frank's signature to officially take effect. Frank had now formally been promoted to Director of Customs. He agreed to let Viktor return to his country, but firmly refused him entry into New York. Yet Viktor would never easily give in or compromise. His father's dying wish weighed as heavily as a mountain, and his own resolve had never wavered. Moreover, Amelia's efforts were vividly clear in his mind. All these reasons made it impossible for him to choose retreat. Viktor looked at Frank with unwavering determination as he stated his intention. Seeing Viktor's resolute attitude, Frank calmly opened a stack of documents, attempting to use them to threaten Viktor. He possessed evidence of their breaking into the records room to check flight information and footage of Enrique secretly taking Viktor into the kitchen. There was also proof of Mulroy leading them to slack off during work hours. If Frank exposed any single one of these, it would seriously threaten his friends' jobs they had held for years. More crucially, Frank also knew about Gupta's hidden past. Gupta had been wanted since 1979. Back then, he had a wife and children and ran a decent shop. However, corrupt local police frequently demanded money under various pretexts, making the shop hard to run. Finally, pushed beyond his limit, Gupta stabbed one of them. To escape a 7-year prison sentence, he abandoned his wife and children and stowed away to the airport to work as a cleaner, hiding there for a full 23 years. Viktor was completely out of options. For the sake of his friends' futures, he had to choose to give up entering New York. His friends, unaware of the reason, all believed Viktor should bravely fight back. After all, he had worked so hard for so long, only to falter at the final step. Gupta even yelled at Viktor over this. Guards who had previously supported Frank couldn't stand it anymore. They quietly shared some information with Gupta. Suddenly, all the guards ran towards the main doors, a sight that sent shivers down Viktor's spine. Gupta, alone, wielding only an old mop, dragged his aged body as he ran towards the plane. Perhaps moved by Gupta's courage, he actually succeeded in forcing the plane to a halt. Now he too was going home, to face the outcome delayed for 23 years. Though old and stubborn, unlikely to ever return, Gupta was still filled with fervor for his friend, as if the young man living inside him had never left. Viktor then turned and walked back into the terminal. His heart was now utterly resolute. He would go to New York, leaving this JFK airport that had trapped him for 9 months. Shopkeepers put down their work, bringing him food and daily necessities, but more importantly, they wanted to see Viktor walk out the airport doors. Frank, furious beyond measure, ordered the guards to block the exit. Guard Captain Thurman, face stern, commanded Viktor to turn around. Viktor had no choice but to comply. Even Thurman was moved by Viktor's perseverance and courage. He preferred to face disciplinary action from his superiors than to stop Viktor. Frank realized the situation was beyond saving. Consumed by rage, he rushed out of the control room, trying to block Viktor's path himself, but it was too late. Victor walked out of the airport doors with his head held high, surrounded by everyone's blessings and watchful eyes. A cold wind suddenly swept over him, yet Victor's heart overflowed with incredible warmth. He looked up to see snowflakes like light feathers drifting down, cloaking New York in silver, like a grand celebration between heaven and earth, cheering for Victor's soon-to-be-fulfilled promise. Victor hailed a taxi. Just as he turned, he unexpectedly saw Amelia. Their gazes met in the air. Time seemed to freeze at that moment. They exchanged no words, only shared a quiet smile. Then each stepped onto the path meant for their own destiny. When Frank stormed out of the airport in a rage, Victor was already riding away in a cab. Though Frank still had the power to notify the police to intercept Victor's cab, this time he chose not to. Perhaps he admitted defeat, or perhaps he remembered what his supervisor had once said. Guard your heart on the long journey. Wait patiently as time flows. Time stretches long, waiting vast. In the endless river of time, countless people write their own stories while waiting. Victor endured a long 9-month wait in the airport before finally stepping through the door that had confined him for so long. Frank too was caught in the torrent of waiting, enduring 17 long years just waiting for the old director to step down. And Gupta waited anonymously in the shadows for 23 years to evade his crime. These 23 years of waiting were like wandering in an abyss, filled daily with torment and unease. Amelia waited from age 19 to 39, a full 20 years given entirely to waiting. Enrique, too, had been waiting for an opportunity, a chance to get closer to the girl he secretly admired. And Victor's father took waiting to the very end of his life. Not every wait turns out as we hope, nor does every wait reap a beautiful ending. Waiting indeed makes life rich and diverse, but at the same time it often carries the bitterness of disappointment and the sorrow of the curtain falling. Life itself is woven from countless moments of waiting. In the long flow of time, we wait for success's favor, for opportunity's arrival, for the years to pass like a gentle stream, even waiting for the moment life draws to a close. Yet happiness has never had a fixed final destination, as long as we keep walking strongly on life's path. Just like holding fast in the darkness, one will always see the dawn of hope pierce the gloom. Even in adversity, we should strive forward like a boat sailing against the current, bravely and fearlessly pursuing the future that belongs to us, making every wait a precious treasure on the journey of life.